Chapter 11. At the jail, Officer Randolph examined a note from Miss Gladwell and told Theo to follow him. They went to a small windowless room that was barely wide enough for a narrow table and two folding chairs. Theo took a seat and unpacked his textbook. He waited nervously, jumping at every sound of the hallway. Finally, Woody walked in, and Officer Randolph closed the door behind him. It locked loudly. Woody's left eye was swollen shut, and he had a fresh cut on his forehead. He sat across from Theo and said, "You gotta get me out of here, Theo." "What happened? You look awful." "Got in a fight. Last night they put this guy Jock in our cell, and he was serious trouble." "What happened, Woody?" Woody placed his hands on the table. Both were shaking. His right eye watered, and it was obvious he was a wreck. He began, "Jock is a jerk, a real bully, and a tough guy. Tony and I tried to stay away from him, but the cell was not big enough. About an hour ago, when they finally brought us lunch, Jock said he wanted half of my sandwich. I said no, and I guess that was the wrong thing to say. He grabbed for the sandwich, dumped my tray, and that started it all. He was just begging for a fight. He punched me in the face. Tony jumped on his back, and Jock basically beat the crap out of us. Before the guards could get there, he had us both on the floor and was kicking away. You should see Tony's face. Everybody was yelling, and when the guards grabbed Jock, he yelled about how we jumped him and started it all. 2 against 1 ain't fair and stuff like that. They took him away to another cell, and the guards cussed us for starting to fight, and we'd have to spend more time in jail for fighting." Theo was stunned. He asked, Is Tony okay?" "I think so." An EMT looked at him and said nothing was broken. Put some ice on his face. Jock was one mean dude. "You gotta help us, Theo. We're in jail for doing nothing, and this place is awful." "I'm trying, okay? I just met with your mom and then with a bail bondsman. I also met with your lawyer, who is not that nice of a guy. We didn't like him at all. He started off by telling us how busy he is, how he's got 50 cases right now, all in youth court, and so he can't spend much time with us. We told him what happened and got the impression he didn't believe us. We need another lawyer, Theo." "We'll worry about that later. Right now we're trying to raise bail money." "What's that?" Woody said, nodding at the textbooks. "Your homework. Miss Gladwell and Mr. Mount have decided that I need to tutor you so you won't get behind." "I'm already behind, and you can take those books back where they came from. If I wasn't doing homework at home, what makes you think I'll do it in here?" Which is a very good question, and one Theo had been contemplating. Woody grimaced and pressed both hands against the side of his head. "I don't know how many times he kicked me, but my head is killing me. It's throbbing and my ears are ringing. Listen, we've got $700 already. If we get 1,000, then we can bail you out and go to work on Tony's bail." "No, I'm not leaving here without him. It's both of us or nothing." "Come on, Woody, you're 13, he's 16. He can survive here longer than you." "Oh, really? You should see him now. See how well he's surviving. I'm not leaving without Tony." Theo shook his head. Okay. Nothing was said for a long minute. Woody gently massaged his temples as he frowned and closed his eyes. Theo felt like crying, but not here. This was jail, and everybody played the tough guy. "What's everybody saying about me?" Woody asked. "I'm sure the whole school knows I'm in jail." "I haven't talked to the whole school. Our gang knows what's going on, and everyone is on your side. You've done nothing wrong, and all your buddies are trying to get you out. Mr. Mount is concerned and wants to help. Miss Gladwell has talked to the judge. We're with you, Woody." Woody took a deep breath and managed to smile, as if relieved. Theo said, "Don't worry about everybody else, Woody. Only your friends matter, and we're all on your side." "That stupid kid Garth. I wish Jock could go a round or two with him." Theo slowly put the textbooks into his backpack. "You're not leaving, are you?" Woody asked. "What's the hurry?" No, I won't leave until they make me. They chatted for almost an hour, and Theo managed to get a couple of laughs out of his friend. Officer Randolph tapped on the door and said time was up. At the front desk, Theo picked up his cell phone and checked his messages. Mr. Mount texted that he had $200 for the cause. Chase was calling a meeting of the gang at Gruff's Yogurt for 4:30. Theo hopped on his bike and raced to the shabby old office where his Uncle Ike worked occasionally. Ike was the older brother of Woodspoon and had once been a prominent lawyer in town. But he encountered some sort of vague trouble and was forced to leave the profession. He spent a few months in jail, long before Theo was born. Ike never talked about what happened, nor did Theo's parents. His office was on the second floor of an old building owned by a Greek family that ran a deli downstairs. Theo hustled up the stairs, barged into the office, and found Ike at his desk, buried in paperwork, sipping a late afternoon beer, and listening to the Grateful Dead on the stereo. "What's this?" he growled. He adored only his nephew, but didn't like the surprise intrusion. Theo stopped by every Monday afternoon for a required visit, but never on Thursdays. He blurted, I need to borrow some money." "I don't have any money, Theo. What's going on?" "Okay, I'll be brief. One of my good friends is in jail, and I'm trying to bail him out. His family has no money for bail, and I'm trying to round up $200. I'm putting up all my savings, all $400. "That must be a real good friend. Why was he arrested?" "Armed robbery. It's a long story, but he's not guilty." "Don't they all say that? A kid's charged with armed robbery?" "Look, Ike, I'll explain it all later. Right now, I need some money. I've never asked you before, and I'll never ask you again. And it's a loan. I promise I'll pay it back. One day, somehow." Ike scratched his beard and pulled at his gray ponytail. "Pretty serious, aren't you?" "Dead serious, Ike." "How do you plan to pay it back? You're not exactly employed yet." "I'll think of something, trust me." Ike studied him for a long time and began to smile. Slowly he reached into a drawer, removed a 3-ring checkbook, and scribbled something. He tore out the check and handed it over. $200. It's the best I can do, and it's a loan, not a gift. Theo snatched the check, said, "You're the greatest, Ike," and took off. As Theo climbed onto his bike, his phone buzzed. It was a text from Daisy. Woody's father had somehow found $100. The effort was now at $1,200, enough to spring Woody. Theo texted Elsa at the office and explained that he was helping Woody with his homework and would be running by the office. He was expected to stop by there every afternoon, check in with Elsa and his parents, and hit the homework. At 13, he was growing tired of this ritual and longed for a bit of freedom. Next year, he would enter the 9th grade and high school, and he often wondered how his routine might change. Surely his parents would relax a little and give him some space. But on the other hand, Theo loved being 13 and an 8th grader. He and his buddies were the big dudes on campus, and the younger students looked up to them. He had heard stories of 9th grade boys and how they were ignored in high school, especially by 9th grade girls who became infatuated with older guys. He pondered these things as he headed downtown. He continued to debate about asking his parents for a loan. He knew they would freak out when he told them he was handing over his savings for Woody's bail. That would be an ugly fight, but he was determined to follow through. Once that discussion was over, he doubted they would be willing to contribute more. Though he admired his mother for showing up in court that morning, last night's family argument was still fresh. He was right and they were wrong, but he didn't have the stomach for more fighting. Of Theo's inner circle of friends, Chase Whipple was the kid who spent more time online than anyone else and could perform magic with a computer. For fun, he often wrote his own software and seemed able to find anything on the internet in a matter of seconds. His parents were affluent and bought him the latest devices and gadgets, and he was always one step ahead of the others in the high-tech race. The gang, Chase, Aaron, Brian, Edward, and Joey, were in the rear of Guff's frozen yogurt, huddled around a table. Theo got a small vanilla with cookie dough and joined them. "What's the latest?" Chase asked. "We're at $1,200, Theo reported. 400 from me, 300 from Woody's mother, 100 from his father, 200 from Mr. Mount, and I just got a check for 200 from Ike alone." "You're putting up $400? Aaron asked in disbelief. "Yep, all my savings." "That's awesome, Theo. Wish I had more. I just spent an hour with Woody, and he's got beat up today. Big black eye, a cut. Some dude jumped him in jail. We gotta work fast, guys." "I have 100 in savings," Aaron said. "Me too," said Joey. "I'm still looking," said Brian. "That's great, 1,400. "Isn't that enough to get him out?" asked Brian. Theo said, "Yes, but that's not the deal, remember? Woody won't leave without Tony, so we need $2,000 like I said." "I'm broke," Chase said, "but here's the plan. Ever hear of mob money?" "No," Theo replied. The others shook their heads. Chase had the floor and said, "Mob money is one of the latest crowdfunding schemes, but it's probably primarily for kids. I found it this afternoon, and I've been working on it. Take a look." He opened his laptop, and the boys squeezed behind him. Sounds like the mafia or something," Edward said. "That's because you watch too many old movies," Chase said. "This has nothing to do with crime and is strictly legit. It works like this." He pecked a few keys, and a photo of Woody was on the screen. Below it was the caption, "Woody Lambert, age 13, in jail for a crime he didn't commit." Below the caption was a drawing of a kid sitting in a bunk in a jail cell with his hands cuffed, head hanging low. Below is the narrative. "Imagine being arrested and falsely charged with a serious crime, armed robbery, and not having enough money to post bail and get out to prove your innocence. That's what's happening to Woody Lambert, age 13 of Strattonburg. He sits in jail, another victim of a system in serious need of bail reform. We, his friends, urge you to pledge any amount to free Woody." "This looks awesome, Chase," Brian said. "How does it work?" "It's simple. If you guys approve, I click here at the bottom, and this page instantly posted on the Mob Money website. If all goes well, the cash starts pouring in from all over the country." "You really think we can raise enough?" Joey asked. "I have no idea, but there's nothing to lose," Chase said. "Mob Money gets 10%, same as other crowdfunding sites, and it sends the rest to us." "Let's do it," Aaron said. Chase looked at Theo and asked, "Should we run it by Woody or maybe his mother?" Without hesitating, Theo said, "No, right now they'll do anything to get him out. I say we go for it." The others agreed, and Chase clicked on submit. Done. We're in business. You can go to the website at any time and monitor donations. Maybe we'll get lucky. He closed the laptop and took a bite of yogurt. The boys relaxed around the table. "Tell us about the fight, Theo," Brian said. Theo relayed details given by Woody without embellishment, and ended with, "There might be some more trouble. Woody said one of the deputies, when they broke up the fight, blamed Woody and Tony for starting it, and they said they would have to spend more time in jail." "Can they do that?" Joey asked. "I'm not sure. Let's worry about that later." And that's the end of chapter 11.